Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I've had a few people reach out to me to see if I could go into like a little more detail, a little more depth on the carbon credit and the protocol fee and kind of how that works and the relationship and why it's set up the way it is. So carbon credits are the representation of 1 ton of CO2 that is either sequestered from the atmosphere or prevented from entering the atmosphere. In the case of the GLOBE protocol, they're using solar as a way of preventing carbon dioxide from entering the atmosphere. So carbon credits have been around for quite a while, in the 80s. And in the late 90s, they came up with this thing called renewable energy credits and kind of reclassified solar as something that produced renewable energy credits instead of carbon credits. And what their mindset was, they were like, look, if somebody goes out there and they pull carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, like they sequester a ton of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, that incurs quite an expense, and they get a carbon credit for that. But a solar system, like you're installing a solar system and you're getting a carbon credit, but you're also getting the power as well. So you're getting the revenue that system generates. And they were like, well, because you're getting that power, then we're going to reclassify that as a REC. And it worked great at first. It worked great. They were roughly the same price. Companies could buy RECs to offset their power consumption that was produced by non-renewable sources, and then carbon credits for the remainder of their carbon footprint. So it worked great, but then over the years, the value of the REC has dropped like to almost nothing, and I think it was trading last year for somewhere between $3 and $4 on the voluntary market for RECs. So not a lot. The GLOBE protocol, what they wanted to do is they wanted to figure out a way to bring additionality back to the solar industry and produce carbon credits, and do it in a way that would incentivize people to install solar that normally would not install solar. And that's how they came up with the GLOBE token and the GLOBE protocol. And so what their mindset was they were like, okay, what if we have people give up the revenue that their solar system produces? Then it's truly a carbon credit and can be classified as a carbon credit, because you're giving up the revenue, the other side of the benefit of having solar, and you really are doing it. Like your mindset is in the right place for working towards climate change. What that also does is, if you're giving up your 10 years, so what they did was 10 years. So if you're giving up 10 years of your revenue, then people that live in really like low cost of power areas are much more incentivized to join the GLOBE protocol and participate in producing carbon credits, because their protocol fee, which is 10 years of solar production revenue, is way less. And if your cost of power is really high, certainly you can still participate, but if your cost of power is really high, then you're already incentivized to go solar, because you're already going to be offsetting something that costs a lot. So you already have a good return on investment. But if you wanted to do it anyway, then your protocol fee would be high, and that would be a benefit to the protocol, because every dollar that everyone pays into the protocol through the protocol fee gets dispersed out as a cash reward to everyone producing carbon credits. So what it's doing basically is it's taking this electricity revenue from areas where the cost of electricity is very high and low, and it's redistributing it to people that are installing solar in areas where the power is the dirtiest. So it's incentivizing people to go after the dirtiest power first, and to offset that and to get rid of the dirtiest power first, like the lowest hanging fruit. It's primarily here in just in the United States, but I believe they are going to be worldwide, but it's just in the States for now. So that's kind of like their mindset is they wanted to incentivize people that would not normally do solar, would not normally go solar, to do solar by giving them cash rewards for producing carbon credits. So then they came up with a glow token, and the glow token was another way to incentivize people to produce carbon credits by generating an additional source of revenue to do that. And what they did is they did their guarded launch last month, December 17th, and they set 12 million tokens aside on what's called the bonding curve. So they sell these tokens on a bonding curve. The first token that they sold was for 30 cents, and the last token that they will sell is $1,228.80, and each token is incrementally more than the previous token. I believe the way that it works is every millionth token is twice as expensive as the previous millionth token. So it doubles every million in it on an even curve. And they were like, okay, we'll sell tokens on a bonding curve, and we'll take that revenue and we'll also give it up as cash rewards for people producing carbon credits to really incentivize people to install where there's the dirtiest power. And currently that's coal power plants. So coal power plant produces the most amount of CO2. Natural gas is roughly half what a coal power plant is, and then it goes, of course, goes down from there. It's kind of a really nice way to incentivize people in the right way and incentivize people on both ends. So people that normally wouldn't go solar are going to, because now they have an additional incentive to do so. And then people are going to install where there's the dirtiest power, because they're also like highly incentivized to do so. So they have these 12 million tokens that they started selling at launch, and they sold a lot of tokens, like many times more than I think they anticipated. I believe there was a pretty large group of people that have been following this project pretty closely. I think they've been working on it for about a year and a half now, and they jumped in and started buying those tokens. And so they sold roughly 3 million tokens that started at 30 cents, and I think it's at $2.45 at the moment, which generated about $3 million in revenue that will be dispersed as a cash reward to people producing carbon credits. And then the other way that they wanted to have this steady amount of tokens that are minted and entered into the market, basically the protocol, the blockchain, mints 175,000 tokens every single week, and they just distribute those tokens out to all the people joining the protocol. And it's distributed based on how much your revenue was for your solar system. So if you contributed a large amount, a large number for your 10 years of electricity revenue, you're going to get more tokens. And that 175,000 tokens is distributed once a week, every week, and it just goes out every single week. And so now the protocol is minting and distributing 175,000 tokens a week. It's going out to everyone that is paying the protocol fee, and that occurs indefinitely. And then on the other side, we have the protocol now has all these carbon credits that they are awarding you a cash reward for producing that carbon credit. And now they have a carbon credit that they can use and sell. And what they're doing is they're selling the carbon credit on the open market on I believe they're doing it on an auction. So they're going to auction these off once a week, I believe. Once they get a certain amount, they'll start auctioning them off once a week. The only currency that they are accepting for the purchase of these carbon credits is the glow token. And the glow token is currently being traded on Uniswap right now for, let me see, it's being traded for $2.21 currently for the glow token. So a company that wants these carbon credits would need to go to the Uniswap and buy the tokens, and then buy the carbon credits with the tokens. And then when that occurs, The Glow protocol then retires those tokens and takes them out of circulation. So as carbon credits are produced, it's taking tokens off the market and retiring them, which is a deflationary mechanism which helps drive the value of the token up. That's a bit more detail of the carbon credits, the difference between them, and a REC, a renewable energy credit, is a representation of 1 megawatt of power being produced as opposed to 1 ton of CO2 in the atmosphere. A little more depth on the protocol fee, why it is, what it is, the size, and then what they do with the protocol fee is when you pay the full amount of your 10 years of revenue, which they calculate, it's based on your cost of power, system size, sunlight hours, a few things like that. They take that whole amount and they divide it up into 4 years. So they don't just immediately just give it all out to carbon credit producers, but they divide it out into 4 years. So they take the protocol fee and they divide it into 192 payments. It starts getting transferred out of the large protocol fee and it gets transferred over to the Glow protocol every week, once a week. And there's a 16-week grace period before this occurs, and then on week 17, the payments start and they go for 4 years. So 192 payments plus 16 weeks grace period in the front is 4 years. So it's a 4-year spread out over 4 years for the carbon credit cash rewards. And they also, so every dollar that goes in goes out to reward people producing carbon credits. So it incentivizes people to install solar in the areas where it's the dirtiest power. Then they also take all the cash that they received from selling the Glow token on the bonding curve, and 100% of that cash also is sent out as a cash reward to everyone producing carbon credits, also on a 4-year pay cycle with a 16-week grace period, 4-year pay cycle. So that's kind of the gist of it. Reach out to me if you want me to go into more detail. I'm happy to do so. I'm gonna have a couple of links in the video that you can go to and reference and go to the website and look how the trade is doing and things like that. So now let me go over how last week did. I got my super duper trusty laser pointer right here, built it myself. Pretty sweet. It's going to be a little confusing. You might want to watch this from last week's video. So what I did here is I decided I was just going to, let me hold this little mic. What I decided to do is I left the red and the green numbers from last week. I just left them so you could see the difference between last week and this week. And so last week, it was the week before last, is all these red and green numbers, and last week is the blue numbers. So last week they added one solar system to the protocol, and that solar system had an $18,652 protocol fee that it paid into the protocol. In 16 weeks, when the payments start, they will be $97.15, and it will be 192 payments of $97.15. It is receiving the tokens immediately. Even though the payments don't start immediately, it receives the tokens immediately. So last week, this solar farm received 25,023.97 tokens. Week before last is here in black, was $580, which is the number that's determines how many tokens you get. This last week, they added $97 to the total. So if you come over here, 175,000 tokens minted. Week before last, it was 175,000 divided by $580. Everybody on the protocol received 301.72 tokens per dollar of their weekly transfer amount. So you just take these numbers here in the parentheses and times it by 301, and that's how many tokens they were awarded week before last. Now we've added the blue, this new system on. So now if we add the $97 to the total, last week $679 was transferred into the protocol from the protocol fee pool. And so divide that by 175,000, you get 257.59 tokens distributed per dollar of this payment amount. So last week, this new solar system received 25,023. Anyway, I didn't change these red numbers, but if you want to just do it yourself, just times what's in the parentheses by 257.59, and that'll tell you how many tokens the rest of the farms received. The total of all these will always equal 175,000. Okay, and then the week before last, the amount of money in the bonding curve was 3,029,952. So divide that into 192 payments would be 15,781. With the 16-week grace period, this number will start in April, I believe April, late end of April. So also last week, another $59,181 was added to the rewards pool because that many more tokens were sold on the bonding curve, starting at 30 cents, ending at 1,228. So another 60,000 added to the rewards pool. Divide that into 192 payments and you have an additional $308 each week that will go out. So now we just add these together. So we add up all these. We add the 97 to the 580, 15,781 to the 308, and that all comes to this blue number. So the green number is what it was the week before last, 16,363. The blue number here is last week's new reward amount is 16,786, 16,768. I'm a little dyslexic. Okay, so week before last, 16,363 divided by the number of carbon credits that were produced, so it would be these numbers in black, was 0.7114 carbon credits produced. So the protocol would have paid $23,001 if the protocol was paying out the cash rewards yet. It's not it's still in its 16-week grace period, but once that grace period is over, this is how much cash each of these residential solar farms would be earning each week. And they will continue to earn cash rewards for producing carbon credits for 10 years. Now, the difference of last week and this week would be I added one more solar farm to this. That solar farm, it produced 0.1074 carbon credits, so bringing a total of 0.8188 carbon credits produced last week. Divide that by the new cash rewards available, and you get 16,768 divided by 0.8118. So last week, the protocol would have paid $20,479 per carbon credit for every solar farm producing carbon credits. As soon as the grace period, 16-week grace period is up, then everyone will be receiving cash rewards every week. Even the new solar farms that come on will be receiving cash rewards immediately. It just won't be from their protocol fee, because their protocol fee is going to sit for 16 weeks, has a 16-week grace period before it starts transferring those weekly amounts in. So yeah, that's last week's recap, how it did. I'm going to try to do it again next week. I think I'll probably this whiteboard's going to get really complicated, so I think I'll probably do like an Excel spreadsheet. I'm sure everyone loves those. Maybe a green screen or something or maybe just start doing totals instead of like the individual farms. But I kind of want to do this just to show you like how one farm made a difference and how it looks, which is just adding one farm. So we're adding more carbon credit production, which goes into the calculation. We're adding more bonding curve cash that goes in, and so this cash reward changes. It's going to change every week based on how many farms come online and how much revenue was generated from selling tokens on the bonding curve. So that's it. If you have any questions, look at some of the links I'm going to provide down below. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. I'm happy to dive deep into any one of these topics. Thanks, and have a good day.